What's up, guys? Welcome back to Horror Movie Rewind. I'm Dustin. This video, I'm going to finish the top two of the movies that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Like I said in the last video, let me fix this broken stool. I don't expect everyone to be on board with me. They're definitely not necessarily terrifying films. Well, one of them is still to me to this day, but out of the top two. But it's got me as a kid. It's one of those things where right place, right time, and maybe a nightmare or two, and then, now I'm talking about it 25, 30 years later. But with that being said, we'll go on to number two, and this one's a little sentimental to me, and damn, I wish my sister could be sitting here with me doing this. Like, we were both big fans of this franchise. My sister was a big horror movie fan, and the first movie gets a lot of credit, like it should. I think a lot of people, again, I can't say that people unjustly, are critical of this film, because you got to detach nostalgia, which in my case is very thick with this movie, but Poltergeist 2 fucking scared the hell out of me. And my sister and I watched the first one, on satellite, probably somewhere around 95, 96, when you had to go to the blue screen that had F5, G7, K17, some shit like that, right? And about a year later, I went to the same grandmother I've spoken on before, and the same rental place, Pick a Flick, and I rented Poltergeist 2, excuse me. And it was the most decrepit, case, that thing looked like it had been drugged behind a car. But I'm sure the film quality wasn't great. It was a VHS. It was my age. Maybe it was filmed in 85, if I'm not mistaken. But watched it in broad daylight, and it scared the hell out of me. Reverend Cain, and again, detaching nostalgia from it, or childhood trauma, if you will, still a scary character. Right here, I watch it a couple times a year. There's a stack of things that I was filming clips from, but Poltergeist 2, hell, a few months ago, like a month and a half ago, and I'm proud of that one. I bought a one sheet, which is the original theatrical poster. But yeah, Reverend Cain is in my top 5 for damn sure. Scariest horror movie villains. And just a quick aside, not to be sad about it, but it's a good story. People need to know this, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Poltergeist curse, and it usually pertains mostly to part 1. But there's, look it up. There's documentaries, you find it online, stuff like that. But they rarely talk about Julian Beck, and that's the character that played Reverend Cain. But that guy was a badass. And what I mean by that is he was only 59 years old during the filming of this. And he was literally dying of stomach cancer. In fact, he didn't even make it to post-production. Pretty sure I've either read or watched commentary before where they mentioned that someone had to finish doing his dialogue. But I definitely remember seeing a part of a documentary, not just solely based on Poltergeist 2, where cast and crew mentioned that he was just a trooper. Every day he'd come along, you couldn't tell anything was wrong with him. And that guy, that's badass, man. And this is a theatrically trained actor. He was an artist. He was a painter. He Broadway, he jack of all trades, not jack of all trades. He was an artist. But it's crazy to think about. That guy was 59 years old, and yeah, sure, they used some makeup and probably some prosthetics, but he also was aware of the fact that he was scary looking. He was so gaunt and skeletal, and I don't know. I can never let go of thinking how badass, and the admiration that I have for Julian Beck for kind of just going out like that. This is a guy that played Shakespearean roles, and It's the ultimate, like, you get in where you fit in kind of thing. Anyways, off that, but yeah, Julian Beck's that guy, man. But nevertheless, Reverend Kane, terrifying. And also the score. So, 5 or 6 weeks ago, I did a short, just trying to like fish for subscribers with that poster I showed you previously. And I played the score, and it's probably one of the more terrifying scores to me in any horror film. Now, you got more iconic ones like Tubular Bells or like John Carpenter's Halloween, and even like Nightmare on Elm Street with the little, like, I'm not going to try to imitate it, but those are iconic. The Poltergeist 2 score is absolutely horrifying. And it's because it's like a layer of like organ music and then like moaning and almost like a Gregorian chant. But then you hear Reverend Kane. There's a scene in the movie like where it's a flashback of like basically they go hold themselves up in a cave, like awaiting an apocalyptic event that never comes. And he does this like really chilling, like creepy ass, like wailing, and he's still preaching while they're all sweating and dying. And so they loop that into it as well. But yeah, that score and his performance, and it almost feels like wrong to say his appearance, but it's not. He's fucking terrifying. And again, that's not exactly how he looks. I've seen photos of him on set and stuff. They embellished it some, but yeah, Poltergeist 2, man, that one got me, and it still does. It's out of the 5 films I'm going to talk about. I previously did 3, and then this one in number 1. The one that held the test of time the most is definitely Poltergeist 2. It's still a creepy ass movie, and again, I say this a lot, but a really good cast, like Joe Beth Williams and what's my guy's name? He was in Coach, the sitcom, and I mean, obviously, Carol Ann, the little girl that played her, that's a sad story as well. But yeah, Poltergeist 2, it's probably like maybe 11 when I saw it, and it was one of those movies that stuck with you. It didn't necessarily like maybe pull the covers over my head, but just really creepy ass movie. And I guess the fact that I'm sitting here at 39 years old talking about how much it scared me as a kid and I'm still giving it that accolade, well, that pretty much sums it up. Now, number 1, I was trying to wait. I ordered an original VHS copy of it about 2 weeks ago off eBay. And one of the main reasons why I did so was because I wanted to watch the trailers, because there's some things in my youth, and I have, like, my wife like says it's weird, but like I've got a pretty solid memory if I'm not intoxicated, but I remember details a lot. And I remember watching this movie, and it was probably 89 or 90. I think it come out in 89. And again, my grandmother, she pretty much gets mentioned in almost every one of these videos except for the Frighteners from the last one. But my aunt, Margaret, is only 9 years older than me. So we'd rent movies every time I went to my grandmother's house. That was the thing. I got a lot of stuff from my grandmother about like music. She's a big music fan. And like movies, I don't think anyone else in my family is like engaged with film like I am except for her. But I remember this is a summer afternoon, maybe like 3 p.m. in July. Now, I'm not aware of the fact or whether or not I had watched any of these movies before, but I had definitely watched horror films before. And they didn't bother me. Like, and I didn't come from a like heathen hellion family. It wasn't anything like that. But like, I'm a pretty smart kid, and you watch what you're supposed to watch. I'm not watching like softcore porn or anything, but definitely aware of the fact that I watched horror movies before this. But this one right here, again, watching it a summer afternoon, probably somewhere around 1990, and it's not even ironic, but I had a nightmare. And then I continued to do so for years and years. Like, literally, years and years I'd have nightmares about this film or others in the franchise until I was in ninth grade. And a friend of mine, her name was Keisha Lancaster then, it's Keisha Hall now. Thank you, Keisha. She let me borrow the box set, essentially, and I watched everyone that was out at that point in time, probably in a week and a half. And for years before that, like my whole middle school years, it sounds like something like back in my day, but like me and my friends, like the town I come from, we'd tear the streets up in the summer riding bikes, and a lot of times I'd ride my bike. I mean, we really did. I actually cherish that. People say that, you always hear people say it, but mainly they're referring to like generations before me. We really did. We rode the hill all over the place. But I remember riding like this summer after like 6th grade and 7th grade, and like I consumed as much horror as I could. We just go to not pick a flick this time. I think it was Video Magic, and probably every few days during that summer and the summer following, like I would rent horror films. Like I remember going to see Halloween H2O. I think the summer after 7th grade, before 8th grade. Like, so I was definitely into horror then. There was one thing that was off fucking limits, and that was Nightmare on Elm Street. All right, so here's why. Again, the story about my aunt, probably somewhere around 1990, her and her friend, I think it was her friend Christy, and they had rented it and watched it in the afternoon with him. And I bought the VHS, and I'm afraid that it's not going to have the trailers because I didn't think about the fact that back then your rental like VHS and the home copies didn't necessarily have the same like promotional things at the front because, well, they're promotional things. So we'll find out. It didn't come until Monday, and I was tired of waiting to do this video. But anyhow, my aunt and I and one of her friends, I think it was Christy Osteen, we watched this movie, and I had a nightmare that night, and it never left. So when I was in 9th grade, I was like, I'm gonna beat this shit. I done like mowed through all the typical franchises. I had become a horror fan. I mean, I'm 13 years old. I was a huge horror fan, but Nightmare on Elm Street, it was a no go for me. And I watched them, and it was like, it's no big deal. And so now, obviously, I mean, I've not been shy about my fandom of Wes Craven, but it's also one of my favorite, if not tit for tat with Phantasm, but I'd probably take Nightmare on Elm Street over it. Phantasm began in the late 70s, but your 80s like franchises are probably going to go with Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's just funny because, again, I was a kid, and it's just something that stuck with me, and like the nightmares, and it's not at all ironic, like I said. It makes perfect sense. It's a dream demon. So what's more natural than having a nightmare about a movie where people get killed in their nightmares? But now I look back on that, and it's in an odd way. Like I kind of appreciate it because what the hell are horror movies if they don't scare you at some point in time? And this one had about an 8-year effect on me. And probably one of the reasons why that, it's not taboo, but that just something that you are, I don't really know the words for it. I don't think I'd be as big of a horror movie fan as I am now if I didn't have that situation for years, even after I started watching like horror franchises, and there was something, there always has to be that one thing that bothers you, and it doesn't have to, like, I'm not a big fan of like gore porn. I'm not a Saw franchise, stuff like that. No, I mean, I don't, horror isn't limbs getting cut off. It can be, but I don't care for those movies. I don't judge anybody that does care for them. And in Saul's case, they do have some little, like, you know, almost noir detective twist to them. But, like, that's not the kind of stuff I like. I like to have to think. I like to have to pick things apart. I like to have to go back and watch something and see what I missed. And, like, with stuff like that, I also like to get scared. Like,
I don't give a damn who you are, and I don't care how popular it was and how many people say it. Well, with the exception of Mulholland Drive, the homeless lady behind a dumpster, the best jump scare of the last 25 years is Insidious. And a lot of people, like, holier than that, are cool, like, oh man, that's Insidious, it's a theatrical release. And they kind of try to buck that. Well, it's just not true, bud. Like, that demon scene, like, popping up behind my guy, that's terrifying. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good, and just because something's good doesn't mean it's going to be popular, right? So, I do appreciate the fact that I was scared back then. And there are things, even to this day, that I'm timid to watch. Like, because I've heard they stick with you. It's kind of only sad reality of it is because now, like, even if I try to avoid it, it's hard to not get too much information. I'm not necessarily even talking on spoilers, but yeah, like Bring Her Back, I'm afraid to watch that. My friend Ashley Garrison, and I already had heard a little bit, but she said it was super grim, and I'm not afraid to watch it, but like, I got to be in the headspace for something that I know is going to stick with me, right? Maybe that's why I'm such a big fan of like 80s slashers and just cheeseball horror. Maybe I'm kind of a pussy when it comes to that stuff in all actuality, but I like the cheese, but I watch them all. We'll talk about that film I just mentioned probably in the next week. I think I got a guest that's going to come on and do it with me. But anyways, I've been on a long rant here, but yeah, it's just stuff like when I was a kid that bothered me. And it doesn't mean it does now. Again, Poltergeist 2, still a creepy movie. But, like, dude, I go to bed watching horror films. That didn't make me badass or anything. It's my comfort food. And I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot of you out there that feel the same way. And that doesn't make us weird. It's just the fact that we realize that it's fiction. And it's fun. And maybe there is some solace in the fact that other people don't get it. And we do. And obviously, it still exists, so we're not wrong. Anyhow, I'm Dustin. Appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.